I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
The House of Lords has taken an unprecedented and stunning step by formally stripping Camilla, Queen Consort, of her royal titles. This decision comes on the heels of an explosive and deeply unsettling confrontation between Camilla and Princess Anne, an encounter that has rocked the foundations of the British royal family. To compound matters, troubling evidence has surfaced implicating Camilla in circumstances surrounding the tragic death of Princess Diana. These developments have unleashed a storm of controversy and speculation, shaking public confidence in the monarchy and prompting intense scrutiny into the once largely ceremonial but now highly volatile House of Windsor. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The spark that ignited this constitutional firestorm began in what was supposed to be a private meeting between senior royals. Reports indicate that tensions had been simmering for years beneath the surface, particularly between Camilla and Princess Anne, whose relationship has long been marked by subtle barbs and mutual distrust. However, what had once been whispered about behind closed doors erupted into a full-blown altercation, reportedly laden with accusations, personal animosity, and shocking revelations that would force the House of Lords to act with an urgency rarely seen in matters concerning the royal family. Insiders reveal that the argument stemmed from a long-standing disagreement about Camilla's conduct and the legitimacy of her role in the royal hierarchy. Princess Anne, known for her steely resolve and unshakable loyalty to the crown, allegedly confronted Camilla over a series of actions she deemed unbecoming of someone holding a royal title. This wasn't merely a personal grudge, it was a profound constitutional challenge to the authority and decorum of a senior royal figure. Witnesses to the confrontation reported it as both ferocious and unrelenting, with Anne reportedly refusing to back down even when others attempted to de-escalate the tension. What made this argument more than just an embarrassing family quarrel was the timing. It coincided with the emergence of previously undisclosed documents and testimonies, suggesting Camilla may have had deeper knowledge, or even an indirect role, in the tragic death of Princess Diana. These revelations came from private communications, intercepted phone calls, and confidential files that had long been sealed under national security clauses but were suddenly deemed admissible in light of the unfolding scandal. The House of Lords, already alarmed by Camilla's increasingly controversial public image and growing disapproval among segments of the British public, convened in an emergency session to examine the implications. The decision to strip a royal of their titles is not taken lightly. It requires overwhelming consensus, clear evidence of misconduct, and a demonstrable threat to the dignity of the monarchy. That the Lords move forward with such a motion reveals the gravity of the situation. The debate reportedly lasted for hours, with legal experts, historians, and constitutional advisors weighing in on the impact such a move would have not only on Camilla, but on the entire royal structure. Ultimately, the decision was rendered with a historic majority. Camilla would no longer bear any formal royal titles, her position in ceremonial duties would be eliminated, and her presence at state events would be re-evaluated on a case-by-case basis. The symbolism of this act cannot be overstated. Camilla, once elevated controversially to Queen Consort following Charles's accession to the throne, now finds herself relegated to a status lower than many working royals. This reversal underscores a shift in the monarchy's priorities, from a family guided by tradition to an institution responsive to modern ethical standards and public opinion. The consequences of this move reverberate through every level of royal life. It calls into question the sustainability of the monarchy's current structure and forces a re-examination of past decisions made in the name of unity and reconciliation. The evidence implicating Camilla in Diana's death, though still under official review, paints a disturbing picture. Sources suggest that correspondence between Camilla and certain senior figures within the palace discussed Diana in stark, almost strategic terms. These conversations allegedly centered around the public image of the royal family, the growing popularity of Diana, and what insiders referred to as a problem that must be contained. Though none of the evidence directly points to a criminal act, the implication of complicity or willful negligence in protecting Diana's safety has been enough to provoke fury from both the public and Parliament. These documents have cast long shadows over events that occurred decades ago, reigniting a sense of betrayal and injustice that had never fully subsided. Public outcry has been swift and severe. Social media campaigns demanding justice for Diana surged across platforms, while candlelight vigils and demonstrations outside royal residences echoed the morning of 1997. The British press, once cautious about criticizing Camilla too harshly, has turned its tone, questioning the entire narrative that once rehabilitated her image. At the heart of the scandal is a broader question about the transparency and accountability of the monarchy. The idea that such critical information could be hidden for years, only to emerge under dramatic circumstances, reinforces a growing sentiment that the institution must evolve or face obsolescence. Many are calling for independent oversight of royal affairs, a concept that was once unthinkable but is now gaining traction in both political and public discourse. Princess Anne's role in triggering this chain of events cannot be overlooked. Her intervention, far from being a reckless emotional outburst, appears in hindsight to be a calculated move driven by a deep sense of duty and moral clarity. Known for her hard work and lack of tolerance for royal theatrics, Anne's decision to speak out, especially against someone as senior as Camilla, signals a shift within the family. It suggests that not all royals are willing to protect the institution at the expense of integrity. What emerges from this drama is the portrait of a monarchy at war with itself. The rift between tradition and transformation, silence and accountability, loyalty and justice is no longer simmering beneath the surface. It has exploded into full view. The stripping of Camilla's titles may be the most visible outcome, but the underlying conflict runs much deeper. It speaks to the unresolved tensions of the past, the ghosts of Diana's legacy, and the enduring power of truth to dismantle even the most venerable institutions. The international response has been equally charged. World leaders, many of whom had warm relations with Diana, have expressed sympathy and support for the reopening of investigations. Foreign media have reported on the developments with a mixture of shock and vindication, suggesting that many outside the UK had long suspected darker layers beneath the royal facade. Some have even hinted that this could influence diplomatic relations, especially with countries where the monarchy still serves as head of state. Camilla's own reaction to the decision remains undisclosed, though palace insiders suggest she was blindsided by the speed and severity of the response. Once embraced as a modernizer and a symbol of reconciliation after years of scandal, she now faces exile from the very institution that once welcomed her back into its fold. Her fall from grace is a cautionary tale about the limits of image management and the resilience of unresolved history. In this moment of reckoning, the monarchy must confront its own contradictions. The very system that once upheld its mystique, discretion, loyalty, and controlled narrative, has now become its greatest vulnerability. The veil has been lifted, and the public is no longer content with sanitized versions of royal life. They demand accountability, honesty, and justice, even when it implicates those in the highest positions of power. The implications of this decision will echo far into the future. It changes not only Camilla's trajectory, but also the very structure of royal succession and ceremonial hierarchy. Questions now abound about how this will affect King Charles, who has stood steadfastly by Camilla throughout their decades-long relationship. Will his reign be tainted by association? Will his judgment be called into question for having elevated her in the first place? These are questions that cannot be brushed aside, not in an era where public opinion plays a growing role in the monarchy's legitimacy. Furthermore, the stripping of Camilla's titles sets a precedent that other royals may one day face similar consequences for misconduct. It opens the door to deeper investigations into the conduct of senior figures and raises the stakes for those who wish to keep the monarchy aligned with modern values. In a time when institutional trust is declining globally, this moment may either serve as a turning point for renewal or a signal of impending collapse. There's also the lingering matter of Princess Diana's legacy. For years, her supporters have maintained that justice was never fully served, that the narrative surrounding her life and death had been carefully curated to minimize discomfort within royal circles. This moment feels to many like a long-delayed acknowledgement that Diana was wronged, not just by individuals, but by a system designed to preserve its own interests at all costs. The emergence of new evidence and the actions taken by the House of Lords now lend legitimacy to those long-held suspicions. Public interest in Diana has never truly waned. Her image continues to inspire, her interviews still resonate, and her humanitarian legacy endures. In contrast, Camilla's image has always remained complex, a mixture of redemption and resentment, acceptance and avoidance. Now, with these new revelations and the loss of her titles, the contrast between the two women becomes even more stark. Diana, once isolated and vulnerable, is now seen as a martyr. Camilla, once restored and accepted, finds herself cast out once more. While the full truth may never be entirely known, what is certain is that this chapter has changed the royal family in ways that cannot be undone. The House of Lords has made it clear that titles are not shields against accountability, and that no one, not even those at the very top, is above scrutiny. In doing so, they have challenged centuries of tradition and reminded the world that even the most enduring institutions must sometimes be dismantled to preserve their meaning. The echoes of this decision will not fade quickly. There will be further investigations, more revelations, and likely more public confrontations. The royal family, now under intense global observation, must tread carefully through the chaos. For Camilla, the road ahead is uncertain and likely lonely. For the monarchy, the choices made in the coming months will determine not only its relevance, but its survival in the 21st century. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Camilla losing titles? Will Anne expose Diana evidence? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.